Hey everyone, Cody Menz here, doing another WoT's new video. Sorry that this is a few days late. I was a little bit busy leading into the weekend, basically this past weekend, and yeah, I'm doing a little bit of catch up here. Lots to go over. I go over a lot of stuff when it comes to the 1.8 update, Clan War campaign, and also some bans associated with that. Battle Pass, the daily missions. We also have, yeah, we got a bunch of news. Anyway, I'm gonna start going. And I'm on the test server right now. So basically starting out here, if you are on the 1.8 test server, before I start going over all the web pages and stuff, and they're all going to be linked in the order that you see them here in the video description if you want to click through to them. Basically daily missions are going to replace rewards for merit. You're going to have standard ones, and if you have a premium account, you also have premium ones. As you kind of finish these as well, you can unlock a bonus mission if you complete all three standard ones, but they're going to feed into completed missions here, and you'll get rewards like bonds, you know, basically universal manuals. Basically the same thing as rewards for merit, but, you know, it's forcing you a little bit more to play daily to get the most out of it. It's not just going to be randomly kind of assigned to you for just playing battles. So a little bit of a change. We'll see how that kind of goes over. Unfortunately, as of this moment, the battle pass, they kind of pulled it out of the test client. I've got some thoughts on that. I'm not too excited for the battle pass, so we'll get to that when we get to that. Anyway, when it comes to stuff happening in World of Tanks, I'm just going to start out here. Most of this stuff is kind of newer news, basically most recent news, and we'll kind of go back in time. So Clan War campaign ended. NA, there's nothing yet on the NA server. However, as far as RU server, they banned quite a few people, whether it's for 7 days and forever. When it comes down to it, they banned a lot of people for cheating in the Clan War campaign. You know, that thing that everybody hates, and yet still a very small percentage of the community still does it, just for, you know, really broken tanks. Yeah, sounds healthy. Anyway, moving on. 1.8, the test server. It's due to release March 3rd and 4th. So one thing importantly to understand is NA is getting it the first, or first out of all servers on the 3rd, which is a little scary. Usually the only time they do that is when they are very unsure if it's going to break something or how the community will receive said update. They've done it in the past, but usually, you know, it is something NA gets it first just to see what happens. And yeah, so I'll have my thoughts on 1.8 coming up here soon, and yeah, I'll get into that. But anyway, March 3rd and 4th is the current release date. We also see some frontline tanks they added into the test server, so here's some extra ones. There's a non-premium T-32, which is pretty interesting, being added in, and there's the list of the ones that we've had from the previous seasons. So most likely, you know, you're going to see these sprinkled in for the frontline episodes this year coming up. There's a bunch of styles that they added in to 1.8. When it comes to, some are unique to tanks, like 3D styles, some are just, you know, 2D styles. This one is a digital 2D style. Then you have one for the Bat Chapter-esque. Obviously, we already kind of have that on the live server, so whoops, maybe I should have, doink, let's delete that. But there is a victory link camouflage, as they call it, you know, in 1.8 coming up, and that is tied to the battle pass. There's also another 2D style, Trace of History, and that again is tied apparently to the battle pass. There's a lot of battle pass stuff. There's also two 3D styles, one for the Object 277, which looks pretty neat, and the Super Conqueror, again tied to the battle pass. And I'll explain the battle pass for those confused. A little upset it's not on the test server right now. They kind of pulled it down. There's a new KV2 style. Kind of reminds me of the Warhammer Ragnarok one. but that's being added in. It looks pretty sweet. That's for 37.50 as far as the gold cost so far. There's a really weird one with the FB4202. I don't know who exactly would want to use this. It looks very strange, and there's a hat on it. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, we're gonna get out of that weirdness. Yeah. Moving along now. So on worldoftanks.com, you can go to .eu, etc., etc. You're gonna find stuff basically about daily missions, as I kind of went over here. And this link, you know, if you don't feel like searching for it, you'll be able to read a little bit more about them. But basically, it works similar to, you know, how World of Warplanes, World of Warships has them, where it gives you a little bit more incentive to play more and more days of the week. But similar to rewards for merit that we already have. You know, it's not going to change too much unless you only play like 1-2 battles a day and you don't complete any of them. So, yeah. Moving on now, there's a sneak peek for the NA server for March. Obviously, we have the marathon going on right now. You got some nice stuff coming up, and tank rewards as well, with some new tanks that we can get from tank rewards. Frontline begins, you know, soon, so not next week coming up, but the weekend after. It'll be starting Frontline Stage 1. And one thing to note about Frontline, you cannot make up basically previous stages, so if you don't play all of them, you're not going to be able to get all the tokens. You can't catch up, which is, you know, a big deal. There's some other basically premium shop offers and special events, and the on track coming up. They're going to be the Kronwagen and the Leopard 1. Now, getting into a little bit more meat here, you know, the Burlesque Challenge, I have a review of the Batchat Burlesque. I really like it. You can find it on my YouTube here if you have not seen that already. I think it's really nice. The only reason not to pick it up is for light tanks and stuff. Now, one big thing I want to cover is the common test, you know, number 3 here, which mainly revolves around the battle pass, and then we have Sandbox results, since I haven't covered that on YouTube yet. I've talked about it on a lot of my live stream now. But when it comes to the battle pass, something I'm worried about here, and again, they yanked it from, you know, they basically yanked it from the test server, and apparently there's going to be another, it's going to be the common test number 4, I believe. That'll be this Thursday, the 27th. So I might have another little feature for the battle pass coming up Friday for my WoT's new video again. I shouldn't be late this week. Cross my fingers. But basically, the battle pass, what we're going to see is it's not put in as well as I think because it's 100% monetized. What you have, and like I wish I could show you the visual stuff that was in the client for the first few days before they yanked it out. The main rewards are going to be, you know, basically 3D styles. There's, you know, one for the 277, one for the Super Conqueror. There's 2 unique commanders. You also can kind of get stuff along the way when it comes to credits, so on and so forth, but they don't exactly tell you like specifically what you get. There is just placeholders. You progress through this battle pass. Say if it pops up for 3 months and it lasts for 3 months, you know, the first battle pass for say 2020, you know, say 1.8. You're going to get points just for being in the top 10, top 3 of a winning or losing team, so you're always going to be progressing. It's just basically playing. And they do note a lot of times here, maybe that's why they pulled it down, there hasn't been a lot of like coverage, I guess, about this. I've seen a lot of negative stuff about it, but not, you know, it hasn't been big news because it's not like a new broken tank or something to talk about. So how they're implementing this though is it's very similar to the tank festival, Skoda T27, if you remember that semi mini marathon last year, where if you didn't have the Skoda T27, you really couldn't get all of the goodies from that basically event. They have 2 basically progression systems, where as you play, you kind of, you know, rank up, you get the rewards, and then ultimately you come to the end and you can pick between, from what I saw at the first couple days, you pick between the Object 277, Super Conqueror when it comes to the 3D skin. The downside is they're also looking to improve something called bounty equipment. There's going to be 2 pieces of bounty equipment, and there's also 2 commanders. This is getting confusing. It sounds a little confusing because it is. So bounty equipment, if you unlock this through the battle pass, you're basically getting a piece of equipment. It just works like, say there's a gun laying drive and a gun rammer, I believe, was the first 2 things. The gun rammer you only can get if you buy a improved battle pass. Otherwise you're stuck with the gun laying drive, which a lot of people don't use. If you spend an additional amount of credits, it was like rumored to be like 50 or 100,000 credits, you can then improve that bounty equipment up to the improved equipment value. So it's going to be better than normal equipment if you spend a little bit of credits on it and level it up. Now, if you're just a player, even if you have a World of Tanks premium account, you are stuck at the standard battle pass. And it kind of talks about this here, where you have the improved pass here, and to get your hands on the improved rewards you need to purchase an improved pass. So even if you have a World of Tanks premium account, more than the Wargaming premium account, even if you buy premium tanks and stuff, they're now introducing another thing where if you don't spend gold, and say if it's like, I don't know, 2,500, 5,000 gold or something to get access to like an improved battle pass, you're not going to be able to get all the rewards, and you're also not able to pick and choose certain rewards. Like originally it was stuck, and they might change this on the test server before the live server. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm just talking about what I'm kind of annoyed about here and kind of fearful. They're monetizing yet another thing, and in my opinion, like, why not just tie it in with the World of Tanks basically premium account, where if you have that, you get access to the improved battle pass. A lot of games do this battle pass, Fortnite and other free-to-play games. However, they don't exactly charge you as much when it comes to a premium time. They charge you for premium tanks, crew equipment, or not crew equipment, but moving crews, retraining crews, and all the stuff we already have to spend in World of Tanks, with gold, real money, so on and so forth. Now they're adding another thing, to where if you don't buy the improved battle pass, you're not going to be able to get both 3D styles that are going to be in this battle pass, however long it lasts until they come out with, say, a second, a third, a fourth, so on and so forth, like seasons. You're also not going to be able to pick or even get both of them, at the very least, the equipment or the commanders coming alongside of this. So basically you're going to have to spend gold just to have access to everything. And the way it was the first couple days, you could also spend additional gold to skip those levels and basically get everything from the battle pass without having to play battles and grind it. So again, it's monetizing things and just wanting people to throw money at it. And then after that, you can keep leveling kind of up, and you keep getting, they had like placeholder, like 1 bond you keep getting, or kept getting from it. So it's really, to me, it's monetizing something that should be an incentive to play the game. It's monetizing it way too much. Like, I don't care if people want to throw gold at the battle pass and skip, basically the basic levels, get, the 3D styles and, the special goodies, rate, faster than someone who's grinding it out over, say, the 1, 2, 3 months, whatever it's going to be. And, there's that. But there's another thing where people already are paying for your premium account, which, is supposed to give you some goodies and more credits, so on and so forth, and they approved that last year, with adding more stuff to it. Now they're adding yet another thing on top of that, where, it feels like you're being nickel and dimed for something that a lot of other games, they don't have 2 things kind of grabbing your, trying to grab your money and get your money for you to support the game. So that's just something where I'm a little bit annoyed about. I know I probably spent way too much time rambling, but I really wish it was in a client, because it would have made it a lot easier to explain it. And hopefully on Friday, when the 4th common test is out, we'll see it. But this is coming next week, and again, NA's getting it on Tuesday, which almost every other time that they've released on NA first, they are a little skeptical and hesitant on parts of what they're putting in to, you know, that patch. So that's a little bit scary. Anyway, last but not least, the Sandbox test results. Wanted to go over really quick here. I've gone over a lot on my Twitch, and I just wanted to clarify some things that I see a lot of people basically misinterpreting, or, you know, like fear-mongering, stuff like that, just complaining. Do note, you know, these are just my opinions. I may or not be 100% correct, incorrect, so on and so forth. So we'll see. Anyway, though, you know, the Sandbox tests ended. Everyone should have got basically surveys if you partook on the Sandbox servers and tested and gave feedback. Basically what they found out is their ammunition changed. They still want to change ammo, but they found specifically it didn't exactly work 100% as they wanted it to, specifically when it came to HE shells and artillery. If you read all this, and again, this is linked if you haven't seen this already, they basically, from what I understand, they like the change that they were doing for basically making premium shells a little less effective. However, as they'll note here, they note a few times later in this article, and they have in videos and stuff like that, they should have also basically stated that they plan on basically adjusting tanks' individual armor. Not every tank in the game, but they have a general idea, and this Sandbox test helped them figure out which tanks they're going to have to, say, lower the weak spot, armor thickness, so on and so forth, and adjust certain tanks. Say, like, something like a Tortoise at tier 9 that got a really huge buff. You know, in somewhat recent terms for World of Tanks, you know, the past 3 years, to kind of combat premium round spam, maybe they'll lower the cupola down a little bit. That way lower tiers can pen it a little bit easier without having to use premium shells. Something like that. But generally speaking, the shell changes, they did not like what HE. They didn't want to change HE as much as it changed on the Sandbox. That was not their intention to nerf HE as much as they did. They were trying to tweak it while keeping it somewhat useful, but it didn't work out. So they're looking to basically come up with another idea for HE. Same thing with the HE, you know, not HP, AP and premium shells. Like they like the general idea. I like the general idea of reducing, you know, the damage potential of premium shells. I'd rather them just nerf premium shells directly, damage-wise, rather than buff AP and have to do all the tank HP. SPG changes, they found that they didn't go over super well. Again, a lot of people I feel like liked that they were adding decision making, 3 shells for SPGs, but they found that AP wasn't very useful, and basically between the 2 HE shells there wasn't too much of a difference, so most people just took the higher damage HE shell because it also had higher splash, whereas the less effective damage dealer for HE, having the stun, a lot of people didn't care because there wasn't that big of a difference between the two. So, you know, they're going to go back to the drawing board and try to, I guess, figure out the difference between the shells and make that work. What they did like is the tech tree changes. Simplifying them worked out really well, and also what they're going to be doing, so tier 6 to 10 tanks, and all 92 tanks that they had listed, that they're removing from the tech tree. I do air quotes because it's not technically removing in my eyes. It's just visually moving to somewhere else. Every single tank from tier 2 to tier 10 will still be available. You can just purchase them for credits. They'll be collector's vehicles. You don't actually have to grind experience to unlock them. However, I would assume for, like, say a tier 10 like the T-62A, you'll need like a tier 10 Russian tank to be able to unlock it for credits. But every single tank's being put into collector's vehicles, instead of whereas before it was tier 2 to tier 5, I believe, were just collector's vehicles, and then tier 6 to 10, I might be off a tier there, but tier 6 to 10 basically we're going to get turned into reward tanks and then offered a later date, and it was real confusing. They scratched that second idea and everything's going to be a collector's vehicle. They basically found that the increased durability for low tiers, tier 1 to 6 specifically, buffing that so the time to kill is longer. They really like that, and also they said basically they'll specify the exact values of the HP increase as soon as they can. They did like that. We might see that come out before, say they might do some shell changes. We'll see though. But they did basically confirm that tier 1 to 6, the increased durability was awesome. Now, one important thing, so a lot of people are like, oh, yay, Sandbox was useless. Sandbox is 100% for testing ideas. Wargaming, they throw out things that, basically they might want to do, or they're interested to see data, and they want the community to give feedback, and that's exactly what we did. There's a lot of people saying, like, Wargaming, they spent all this time and it's useless and stuff like that. I don't think they've read, basically, the bottom here, where if you look mid-March, they're going to be ready to talk about some basically future changes in mid-March when it comes to Sandbox, and specifically when you're keeping in mind vehicles that were supposed to be checked when the New Balance test occurs. So again, going back to that list of tanks that a lot of people are shouting from the rooftops, maybe even the Object 279E, stuff like that, where they have a general idea like, okay, if we're reducing, the effectiveness of premium rounds, all these tanks that are kind of balanced at the high tiers around people shooting them at them, we're going to have to nerf them down. They're going to be talking about that in mid-March from what they say here. And, they are proceeding, like they said, with the low tier HP buff and the collector's vehicles, stuff like that. They're going to have more details soon. And the other changes, as you see here, the shell changes, SPGs, they're not going to be implemented anytime soon. We might see them possibly talk about that in mid-March, and we'll see another Sandbox iteration to test that. But they've already figured out the low tier HP changes and the tech tree changes are good, and they're going to proceed to move on with them sooner rather than later. So in any event, I could talk about this for a while, but that's pretty much my take on it, to where I think the Sandbox, it wasn't perfect, but it did lead to some things coming to the game. And hopefully, now that they figured out, the HE changes didn't go over well and arty, and they're going to be reworking them, the next test that we get up when it comes to those will be a lot better and a lot more well received. So anyway, thank you very much for watching this. It turned out a little bit longer than I wanted to, but yeah, there's a week and a half of stuff to talk about instead of a week. So yeah, I kind of did it to myself. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Have a good one.